Right. Well, I've got 4 moments. One of them, no, but 3 of them must be check. So, but
shall I run the format by you again one more time?
No.
Shall I put you out like a little cheat sheet so you know how this show works?
If I may, I have a reason I'm saying this. Okay. I could have gone for Raw or SmackDown or Impact or something like that. My good cop moment of the week is none of that. My good cop moment has nothing to do with any wrestling program I've watched this week.
Podcast?
A podcast, yes.
Ah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the finest interview I have listened to in years. Ladies and gentlemen, take a bow. MGB Wrestling Podcast.
Good.
MGB with their fantastic interview with Cabana Man Dan, aka Flip Flops Guy. This was your finest work you've ever done. Graham is blushing a little bit right now, but also probably beaming with pride. You guys, what more can I say when you did a stunning job? I'm not gonna emphasize too much. I want people to go listen to the episode because it's that good. But I will say, I love the idea when Dan was mentioning the idea of different universes being each promotion. I love that as a concept. I love that as an idea in general. It's brilliant. Guys, go listen to it because Mason does a good job leading the interview for most of it. He's really coming into his own. Jackson's typical wacky question, as always, was a good one. And Graham was some great insights as well. And I came into my interview learning a lot more about the Indies than I did before. So I know quite a bit about the Indies nowadays. So, gentlemen, congratulations on a fine job.
We changed the format up a little bit, and I don't know why it took me so long. Now we have 2 years worth of back catalogue. It seems sensible to go back and listen to reviews, listen to comments, because often we'll ask the question, and of course we don't get an answer because we're talking amongst ourselves. So it was good. It was a good starting point for doing that. We don't have many for Cabana Man Dan, as you will well know. But for future interviews we've got coming up, we have a lot more clips. So I think that's something that's going to be, that's something that makes us unique. The thing that I was most proud about is Mason's development as an interviewer. The time that he put into it, he gave it a lot more thought. We looked at not just before he would just write, you'd give him, I say, hey, go write this out. He spent 5 minutes, write a few questions, that would be it. We thought about reordering them, how do they fit in, rephrasing certain questions to get perhaps longer answers. Cabana Man Dan was the perfect guest to have as well. He gave us some things that we certainly didn't know, like his Nova Pro debut. We haven't seen that. We weren't there for that. That was fascinating to me. And he's been very gracious as well. We said we had way too many questions for him. And he said at the end of the interview, let's do this again. And we are definitely going to be following up with Cabana Man Dan. Great guy, really interesting. I just regret recording a day early because afterwards, I forgot what his name is. Mike Jackson appeared on Impact Wrestling from Alabama. It's and then somebody else mentioned this week, they were talking about Southern cooking. I was like, I didn't even think about it. So there's a lot more that we can certainly talk to Cabana Man Dan, but I certainly appreciate those comments. We were very proud of what we did. We thought that was probably a high mark for us so far.
This is always going to be my good comment of the week. Just to have a good stuff to talk about in my speed check, but right, my speed check is usually it's MGB related recently, and it continues to be so.
All right. You sure this is not bad cop? This is normally you slamming me for all the things I said that were wrong.
I'm unsure because it's a question. Okay, I'm not sure what the answer's going to be, but quote, interviews aren't really our thing, end quote.
I think I recognise that quote.
That would be, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of a fantastic MGB review. I forget the actual event itself, but at the end of that event, Graham said, Matt Willis, who's not in my good books right now. And then Mason said good in the background. I'm like, cheers, kid. But I need to talk to you about the podcast. And I may have had an interview, and you wouldn't interview me, don't think that. You had a quiz, which was great. It was great. Made a Christmas cracker. It was fantastic. Why are you all of a sudden so keen on doing interviews? Is it because you progressed with the podcast, or is it because now you've got more confidence, or because now it's the right time? I'm unsure of the answer. I'm just curious to know why you now want to do interviews.
All right, so let's think about when this was. You said this made a Christmas cracker. Now, that means that it made a Christmas cracker fall 2018. So this was, if I remember, I think this was November, actually. I think it was a November show. So we'd only been doing podcasting at that time for about 8 months. So absolutely, that was not our thing at that point. We were still finding our feet. The reason we're more prepared to do it now is that I think certain people within the local industry know who we are. Like, they see us. You don't get many kids actually attending the wrestling events. So the fact that Mason's there, he does tend to stand out. So I think it's a little easier now when we've seen some of these people several times. I think it's much easier to say, hey, is it okay? Would you be interested in doing an interview? Whereas at that time, we were still, we didn't know the wrestlers as well as that. The Ugly Ducklings perhaps would be an exception because we did still talk to them a lot, but probably not at the level where we are right now. I think timing was a big part of that. And I think if you got to remember as well, at that time as well, Matt, we were only reviewing WWE events with the exception of a Nova Pro once a month. So we probably reviewed 6 Nova Pro events and that was it. So I think that was a little different. Once Nova Pro closed down, a lot more places obviously opened up, and that's exposed us to a lot. It actually worked out to be kind of a good thing. It took us out of our comfort zone a little bit. We traveled to new places. We've seen new wrestlers. And, but yeah, I certainly think 2 years down the line, I'm much happier to ask a wrestler, hey, are you interested in doing that? Than I was after only doing this for like 6 to 8 months, I think.
Well, Graham hasn't figured out yet, guys. I mean, I'm sure moment basically just to plug MGB every week on his behalf. They haven't got to worry about me doing on Twitter so much anymore. So, guys, go back and listen to all the MGB interviews. They're great. And actually, go back and listen to the Cracker with me and Jack introducing that quiz because it is brilliant.
I've got to say, we played to our strengths and it worked perfectly. It was the way we were looking for a way to include Jackson more at that time as well. And it seemed like the ideal way. And also, it didn't take up time. I don't like taking wrestlers' time. Like, that was after an event. Like, I don't want somebody to stay around after an event. But this was over in 10 minutes. So it was pretty quick. It was fun to do. It got Jackson involved as well. And, but I think for those reasons, at that time, it worked absolutely perfectly. As we've watched more and more in the events, we've started to have more questions, as you've heard on our interviews. On our reviews. We ask a lot more questions now, and I think it's logical that we actually ask those questions directly to the wrestlers now as well. So yeah, I think it's just one of those evolution or evolution. I never remember which is the English pronunciation anymore, of the podcast.
Both work, Graham, it's fine. And of course you also got a little chat with Josh Fuller about as well. So I take indirect credit for that in the first place. So I kind of pushed you towards it in the first place, so although you got mad at me for it, I take full acclaim for pushing you and giving you the nudge you needed.
I don't think we ever mentioned on air the other person that you tried to arrange an interview for us from somebody who famously does not like doing podcasts as well. That was...
I didn't know that at the time.
Very cringeworthy.